Hello creatures, welcome back to Bound by Words. My name is Madie and today we are doing something a little bit more casual. I am doing a 24-hour plan-a-thon from right now. It is about 6 p.m. exactly actually. So from now until 6 p.m. tomorrow I'm going to be planning and prepping for Camp NaNoWriMo, which starts 1 week from today. So I made a small list of things that I want to get done in my bullet journal for the week, and I left it pretty open, that way I can add things as they come up as the story starts to develop. First couple things are pretty generic. I want to set a goal on the NaNoWriMo website, which should only take a moment, but I do want to include a blurb and a working title and everything, so I'm probably going to do that closer to the end. The second thing is to join a group. My dad is actually doing Camp NaNoWriMo with me, which I am very excited about, so we are going to have to sit down and join a group together. So that one's not so much just on me. And then the third thing is to make a 16-beat outline. I'm not a huge outliner, but I'm trying to find my balance and give it a try, and I'm using what seems to be most people's favorite outlining book right now, Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I'm using Jessica Brody's 16-point outlining method. I really do like this book because it's more about storytelling than it is really about scripting the novel itself. So it explains it in a way that makes it sound really smooth. So I'm going to be both rereading this for one of my points, and I'm going to be using it to make that 16-point outline. So the fourth thing is I want to make 5 subplots, and I feel like it's hard to guess how many subplots are an appropriate amount in a book. Everything is different, but when it comes to the outline, I'm going to be making a really skeleton outline. So I will have these 16 beats and the 16 points, and for the ones that are multiple scenes, I'll probably have descriptions of what I want to happen without having individual scenes written out. So having those subplots beforehand is really just going to fill out the outline a little bit more, so I can add some depth to the story, and I can make sure that I'm creating scenes that have multiple purposes, if that makes sense. And then I also want to have 3 character sheets. I've tried to do character sheets in the past and it didn't work too smoothly, so I'm revamping the way that I do it, and I'm hoping that for this Camp NaNoWriMo it runs a lot smoother. So those 6 things, including my reread of Save the Cat Writes a Novel, that's backwards, my reread of Save the Cat Writes a Novel, I am about, I'll say a fourth of the way through it. So those are the things that I want to get done before Camp NaNoWriMo starts. Of the things that I want to get done by 6 p.m. tomorrow is probably everything but the reread and joining a group, and that's only because I am waiting on somebody else to join the group. So if you are like me and Camp NaNoWriMo is a week away and you're still sort of getting your story together, then I definitely recommend you doing something similar. It is a lot easier now that everything is locked down and closed. There are a lot less distractions, and I know people really need something to do to sort of keep from going stir crazy. So if you need to plan, this would be a great time to do it. So I'm gonna get started. Guys, so it is right around 9:30. I am way ahead of schedule. I was originally going to make this a 48-hour planning thing, but I really didn't think I was going to need that long. I have already made it to point 11 out of 15. I think earlier I said it was a 16-point outline, but it's not. It's a 15-point outline. So I'm on point 11, and I have 3 of my 5 subplots totally done. They just need a little bit of fleshing out, but they're written and in place in the outline already, so that's kind of my main goal for those. So I have to do the last 4 points, and then the other 2 subplots, and then my 3 character sheets, and then I'm totally done. So I even took a working hour-long break where I had the TV on, and I was sort of half working just to sort of give myself a little bit of a break from the desk area. But I have high hopes that this is going to be done very early tomorrow, if not mostly tonight. I probably will call it quits tonight if I finish the outline and the subplots like entirely, and then I'll just read my Save the Cat book until I fall asleep. So I only have 500 words so far. I'm guessing that in total this document is probably going to be around 1,500 words whenever I'm done. Good morning. It is around 11 o'clock. I know I'm not a super early riser. I was up pretty late last night working on my outline. I think I stayed up until 11:30 working on the 15 beat outline portion. I went through and I finished it, so I got all 15 beats done, and then I went through a second time and I filled out some areas that I thought needed a little more tension or a little bit higher stakes. I changed some details about it, and then afterwards I was able to create the templates for my character sheets. So I'm using Scrivener, which I really love. If you don't have it, I definitely recommend looking into it because you can make worksheet-like templates. So I designed what I want all of my character sheets to look like, and I can just keep recreating blank versions of this document as characters get introduced and I make the character sheets. So I made the template and I decided how I wanted them all to look, and then I created 3 for the 3 characters that pop up in the first 25% of the book, and I added everything in that I currently know about them, like their goals and their internal and external conflicts. So that's all done. I do need to add names. I'm so bad at names. I'm very particular, and there's a couple things that I just want to add, like physical descriptions and stuff like that to each of their sheets, but they're probably about 80% done. So I did all of that, and then I went through my outline a third time and I highlighted things that I wanted to come back to today. So points where I either didn't have enough detail or need to add more stakes or whatever the case may be. So I went through and I highlighted that, and today when I go back in, I'm going to be adding those little kinds of details there. So I woke up around 8:30 today, and I sort of mulled around. I got ready a little bit. I read more of Save the Cat. I read this actually for about an hour when I was done yesterday before I passed out. I have made it to page 118. I don't think this is terribly long. It is 304 pages. So I am almost halfway done with the book, and then after I finished reading a little bit this morning, I went ahead and I made myself a running to-do list to tackle the rest of today's projects. So I'm probably gonna be sitting out here. It's a little bit more comfortable. I have this deep sitting couch, so I'm gonna curl up with a blanket and my cat, who is next to me, being absolutely adorable, and I'm gonna work for probably the next few hours before I migrate into my desk area. Alright guys, I finally made it back to my desk. It is about 2:30. I got to the point where I was sitting on the couch where I was getting really like headache tired, like when you feel it in the back of your head that you're just exhausted. And it was kind of weird because, I mean, I slept normal, I didn't really wake up early, and I've determined it was from staring at my computer. So I took about a 20-minute break. It'll probably be about 30 minutes when I'm done filming this, but I got up, I made some popcorn, I made some tea, and I just walked back and forth in my house. 20 whole minutes. I didn't think about anything having to do with the novel. I played with my cats and I walked around, and it was peaceful and great. I've made great progress. I am almost done. I am working out names now for the 3 characters, the main characters that I have, and then I'm going to make a short list of names for characters that pop up a little bit later. I'm very picky when it comes to names, so it was the kind of thing where I'm going to make the list for each character, a couple options, and then I'm going to come back to it at the end. I have 3 more subplots that I was able to come up with, which I was really excited about. I was only shooting for 5 and now I have 6. I have like the general idea of like where they start and how they progress and where the end is, because subplots, just like the main plot, have like an arc that they follow. So I have like the general outline of that done. Some of them though, as I'm writing, might just be reduced to plot points instead of like their own little plot themselves, but I'm going to let that work itself out in the writing process. Once I get started, stuff like that will click a little bit better. I also went through my outline and I made all of like the ideas full sentences, because when I originally wrote it, I had a lot of things that were just like a bullet point or a fragment or a part of a sentence, and I really didn't like the way that it read. So I went through and I made them all like complete ideas. I have a decent bit done. I think I'm up to around 1,100 words. I have a couple more highlighted sections that I want to go through. I think just about 3 that I'm gonna go through and pick off. And then I'm gonna go back to my character sheets. And I think for the character sheets this time around, I'm gonna do the Briggs personality test thing. I've never actually done that for a piece of writing before, but I had a lot of people recommend it in the NaNoWriMo season. I don't know if it was just like a wave of hype, but a lot of people were saying if you take the test from your character's point of view and you try to answer how you think they would, you'll get their like personality code, and then you can refer back to that later in the book if you like don't know how they'll react or you don't know how you want something to like be presented. So I think I'm going to try it at least with the 2 main protagonists and probably the mentor character, because I feel like he deserves his own too. I want to make him a bigger role in the story sort of in the second half. So yeah, I think I've made great progress for 2:30. I have about 3.5 hours left. So next I'm going to drink my tea, flesh out those highlighted parts so I have a complete outline with all of my thoughts in order. Then I'm going to go back to the subplots, which right now are like in a brainstorming area of my Scrivener, like a little extra file that I put for coming up with ideas. And I'm going to take those out and I'm going to type them into the outline in a different color font, each one. That way I can see where, if any of them overlap and where, and if there's any areas that are really dry. So if I have 3 in the beginning and 3 in the end, but there's like this big gap in the middle where there's nothing extra going on, that might be a sign to shift some things around. It was something that I seen in a YouTuber's video for NaNoWriMo in November. I don't think if it was a NaNoWriMo video, but I watched it around that time. So I'm going to be doing that next, and then hopefully at the end I can choose a name for each one of my characters. I have a problem now where the name that I really like for the main character and the name I like for her A group friend are a little bit too similar, I think. So I'm going to try to pick like the best option for each. So looking back at my checklist, it looks like I have, after I've done those things, like I've fixed the highlighted parts and I've typed in my subplots, and I do the names for my characters and add them to their character sheets. All I have left to do is set my goal on the NaNoWriMo website and then reread the Save the Cat Writes the Novel, the rest of it. So when I went to bed last night, I really didn't feel that good about my outline. I really didn't like where, I don't want to say where it was going. I liked where it was going, but I didn't like the sort of vibe of the majority of the climax. I wanted it to be more magic based. I wanted it to be more deep. So last night I wasn't really happy with it. This morning I woke up thinking like, I'll finish this planning video and maybe I won't even write this novel. Maybe I'll do this all again in a few days and I'll write something totally different for Camp NaNoWriMo. But then throughout my morning routine of like getting ready and just getting in the shower and waking up and stuff, I thought of some really great ideas to make it better. And now that I'm closer to the end of the outline, I really do think it is better. It is deeper. It is a little bit more high fantasy. That is the genre I love, and that's the genre I primarily want to write. So I wanted to have like a better magic system, something more involved, and I really think it's coming together. So I'm excited. I hope all of your planning is going well too. We have 6 days left to prepare for NaNoWriMo. I'm gonna crank out this. Hopefully I can get this done by 4, I'm thinking. I might even be done a little bit early. The end is in sight. I love it. Alright, so I am officially done with everything. I finished it. I'm very excited about that. It is a little bit after 11 right now, but I finished all of the work that I wanted to get done along with 3 extra character sheets. I finished that like around 5:15 or so, and I used the last 45 minutes to read my Save the Cat Reads a Novel book, which was really exciting to sort of just wrap it up by sitting and reading. Whenever I finished though, around like 5:15, I had the need to get up out of my like desk chair. So I went around the house, I played with the cats, and then I ended up going to my parents' house to walk around the park with my dad, which was really relaxing, which is why I'm filming the end of this video now. I can't say that it was like the best outline I've ever made, and I can't say it's like the most exciting project I've ever written, but now I have a complete outline that I can go back through and I can look at over the next 6 days when I'm thinking about my project. I have characters that are all fleshed out, so I have like a good foundation to go back through and make this a project that I'm more excited about, and that was kind of the goal. I waited way too long to start the planning, and instead of like putzing around and doing a little bit each day, I sort of just knocked it all out at once. That way for the next week I can go back and I can make adjustments and I can fuss over the little things that I don't like and make it a little bit better. I am really excited about the character sheets. I have the majority of my character sheets done for the whole book, which I'm kind of surprised about. There might be some minor characters here and there that play little roles, but for the most part, the main characters, their character sheets are entirely done, which is really exciting. I think I ended up with 6 or 7 in the end of like influential, big moving part characters. So I'm really excited to see how that works for me this time around. Last time I used character sheets, it really didn't work out well. The characters felt really rigid, and I felt like I was relying too much on what I wrote in the character sheet, and it made like dialogue a little bit unnatural. So I left the character sheets pretty bare this time, just like the necessities, the internal and external conflict. I think I mentioned that earlier. They're like goals and stuff like that. I did leave a section in the bottom for inspirational images of the characters, so I'll probably go into like Pinterest and make like boards for each of them, to be honest. Another thing that I don't normally do, but I see a lot of people doing, and I like having that visual representation. So instead of pulling like images off of Google, I think I am going to try to make Pinterest boards for the whole story this time around. But all in all, I think it was an A++ job. I am tired though. I am ready to sleep, and I am ready to not look at my computer for a good long night's rest. So with that, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that I can see you next Monday.